Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at insert interval, which is a medium difficulty problem. So let's just look at the description. You're given an array of non-overlapping intervals called intervals, where intervals at I is equal to the start at I and end at I. So it's equal to an array of size 2. And so it represents the start and end of that interval. And intervals is sorted in ascending order, okay, given the first number of the inner array. You're also given an interval called new interval, and it's given a start and end value, and that represents the start and end of another interval. And so our goal is we're going to insert the new interval in intervals such that intervals is sorted in ascending order by start at I, and intervals does not have any overlapping intervals. Merge overlapping intervals if necessary. So we're going to return intervals or an array, whatever, after the insertion. Okay. So if we look at this example right here, we have 1 and 3 and 6 and 9. We are going to insert 2 and 5. Okay. And so let's just go ahead and look at this a similar example. We're going to look at it over here. So this is the second example. All right. So this is our intervals array, and then this is the new interval that we want to insert into this array. And so our intuition is to first, we're going to keep an eye on the first value here, okay? Right here, 1 of the first index, the 0th index. And we're going to see if that is less, the first index and not the 0th index. So we're going to look at this 2. And we're going to see if it's less than this 4. And if this 2 is less than this 4, it doesn't overlap with this. And so what we could do is we could go ahead and create a new array, okay? And in this new array, if they are not overlapping with this 4, 8, we're going to stick them in the array. So here we're just going to stick 1 and 2 in the array. And then we're going to go to the next one. So we want to see if this value right here is less than this value right here. And it's not, okay? So we need a different condition. So what we want to do is we then want to check to see if this value right here is less than or equal to this value right here. And if it is, we want to merge these together, okay? So we don't know how big this merge is because this merge could stretch across multiple elements. And so what we want to do is keep a running tally. So we're going to keep a running tally called low val and high val. And so low val is going to be, we're going to set it at new interval at 0. So it's going to start at 4. And the high val is going to start at 8. All right. And so what we want to do each time we see something that merges is we want to say, well, what is the minimum amount between our low val that we currently have stored and intervals at index at 0? Okay, so intervals at index at 0 would be this thing, okay? because this is the one that's overlapping. What is the lowest value here? And we see that 3 is indeed lower than 4. So we're going to take this 4 and it becomes a 3. And then we're going to take the maximum between this value and high val. Okay, and so 5 and 8 is the higher value, and so that stays the same. And then we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to say, well, is this value right here less than or equal to this value right here? And it is less than or equal to this value right here. So we're going to do the same step. We're going to say, well, what is the lowest value between 6 and 3? Well, 3 is the lowest value, so that stays the same. And then what is the highest value between 7 and 8? And 8 is the highest value, so that stays the same. Okay? And then we go to the next one. Is this value right here less than or equal to our high value? Okay? Or I guess it is our high value, but it's really this right here, but that is our high value at the moment. Okay. And so it is, it's less than or equal to, and so it is equal to. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the low value between 3 and 8, and 3 is the lowest value. And then we're going to take the highest value between the current high value, which is 8 and 10. And so this becomes 10. And so our merged interval is 3 and 10. All right. And so we'll do this one more time. We're going to say, well, is 12 less than or equal to 10? And it is not. Okay. So at this point, we have found our merged interval, and we want to insert that into our new array. Okay. So this is going to be 3, 10. And then we continue on. The next value, or the next condition or loop, is we're going to be checking the rest of the values. So while index that we have created is less than the length of this interval, so any thing after this point, we just want to add to our array. Okay. And so we see the 12, 16 there. So we're just going to add that to our array. And then we're going to return this new array. Okay. So that is basically the algorithm that we're going to be using to follow this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we want to create a new array. Well, arrays have fixed lengths, and we don't know how large our new array is going to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to just create an array list. And so we're just going to say list and so this is going to be a type int, and we're going to call this merged. Okay. And then we're going to create that index, because we're going to be using while loop. So we want to keep track of this index. So we're just going to say int index is equal to 0. We have that low and high value that we were talking about. So we're going to say low val is equal to new interval at 0. So the smallest number of new interval. And then int high val is going to be new interval at 1, which is the highest value of new interval. And then we just start our while loops. Okay, so we know that the first condition was while intervals at our current index, which is 0, if the largest number of that is less than the smallest number of new interval, we're just going to add it to our merged. So, but we have another condition here. So we want this to also happen only while index is less than intervals dot length. Okay, because otherwise, we could still try this and we might get index out of bounds or something like that. Okay, So, and then we're going to try our condition that we were talking about in our example. So index and 1 is less than new interval at 0. Okay, so that's our while loop. And we said that if this is true, what we want to do is just keep on adding the intervals that that fit this description. So we're going to add intervals at index. And then we're going to advance the index by saying plus plus. All right. Okay, fantastic. So this condition no longer holds true. And so when this condition no longer holds true, we're going to still check this condition right here. All right. So we're just going to say, okay, and intervals at index at 0 is less than or equal to new interval at 1. All right. And if this is true, we're going to do exactly what I said. We're going to take our low value and get the minimum between our current low val and the value at index at 0. So the low value of our current item that we're looking at. So intervals at index at 0. Okay, and so that's going to get the min, and then we're going to say high val is equal to math.max, and we're going to take the high val. We're going to take intervals at index at 1, and so we're going to compare the two highest values between the two elements, and we're going to get the highest value and keep that value. And then here we're just going to say index plus plus. And then once this is no longer true, we have the merged element. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say merged.add, and we're going to say new int, and we're going to say low val and high val. Okay, and so that's going to add that right there. And then we have the last condition. So we're going to say while our index is less than intervals at index plus plus. We're just not intervals dot length. I'm sorry. We're just going to add the rest. So we're just going to say merged.add. Okay. And then at the end, we're just going to return that as a new array. This is our return type right here. We have a problem. We have been using an array list, and so we need to convert this array list back into an int array. And so we're just going to say return merge.toArray. So size. Okay, and so this returns our 2D array. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if this is going to pass. I always have, seems like always have some syntax errors, but this time we do not. And so let's go ahead and submit. Okay, so faster than 70%, and so memory is good too. All right, so right here, if we're talking about big O notation, as far as time complexity, it is big O of n because we're just looping through this once, okay? And here, let's see here. If we go to the description, Okay, so we do create a new array to store our values. And so the memory complexity is O of n as well. Okay, so that is going to be the big O notation for time and memory. And otherwise, that is it. So if this was useful to you, go ahead and like and subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one, and I believe we'll be doing merge interval as well. So look forward to that, and I will see you then.